Hi, and welcome to the R&B kitchen. Now, R&B does not stand for rhythm and blues in our case. It stands for Renee and Bruce. Grandfather, granddaughter. Self-evident. Anyway, our reason for making this video, and by the way, it's our first one, and oh, by the way, we're not sponsored by anyone. Well, because it's our first one, probably. But is to talk about getting consistent, beautiful loaves of bread from any bread machine, but specifically the Zojirushi bread machine. And there are problems getting loaves if you follow the recipe. So let's talk about why we're doing this. A number of years of Christmases ago, my wife and I bought Renee's parents, also known as
Shannon and John Dooley.
Correct. A Zojirushi bread machine. Now these babies are $400, and what they expected was to go to the recipe book, put in all of the ingredients, and get something that looked like this. But what did they get, Renee?
They got something that looked a little bit like this.
Yes, some variation of ugly, that's for sure. So they, being very, very smart people, decided that they needed to modify the recipe from Zojirushi. Now, Zojirushi says you just put in the water, all the other ingredients, the yeast in a well, and you're going to get bread. But what do? You get this ugly, gnarly Frankenstein loaf. Yes. So here are a few changes that they made. They put the water in first at hot temperature. They also put in the salt, and they put in softened butter. Then all the dried ingredients except the yeast on top, and they got good looking loaves. But they had one problem, Renee, and what was that?
They were a bit big.
They were giant.
And in this Zojirushi bread machine, which my parents have the same Supreme model as my grandfather, there's a window on top of where the bread goes in. And the big loaves would touch this window. And for reference, it's supposed to come like here, not here.
Right. They were huge. 2 slices would feed you for a week. So anyway, that was a problem. But they fixed it by making those modifications. Heating the water, softening the butter, keeping the salt away from the yeast, which we'll talk about later. But they got big loaves. Now I also contacted King Arthur we love their products. I always use all their products for baking.
Please sponsor us, please.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so calm down. So I contacted them about these loaves that we were getting from the bread machine, and they say that they only use the Zojirushi machines to knead bread, which is fine. We'll cover that in another video. So now we're getting edible loaves, but they're big. So I took it upon myself to do a little experimentation to make loaves that were this size, not that size, and to make them come out consistently so. So that's what we're going to cover in the next part of this video.
And cut. Now we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of bread making.
Well, what are those, Renee?
Those are never mix yeast and salt.
Why is that?
Because salt kills yeast.
Yeah, no good. Okay. What's the next one?
Weigh your flour.
Always, always, always weigh your flour. And the other?
The order in which your ingredients go in matters.
And there we go. So we're going to talk first. I think the don't mix salt and yeast thing, we'll cover that in the order in which we put in the ingredients. So you'll never mix your your salt and yeast together. But let's talk about weighing the flour. Now, what I did beforehand is I just took the dip and scrape method, 4 cups of flour. Now, according to King Arthur, and to me they're the brains of flour, all flours weigh 120 grams per cup. So most 2-pound loaves of bread take about 4 cups of flour. So in this bowl are 4 cups of flour.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's where the weighing comes in.
Correct. So sometimes you may be a little short and sometimes you may be a little long. But every kitchen should have a scale. And it has grams and it has ounces. I prefer grams because it's smaller increments. A cup of flour weighs about 4.26 ounces.
Which is just harder to do.
Yeah, it's just harder. So a cup of flour in grams is 120 grams. So let's turn this on and we'll weigh the entire bowl. Now we know how much the bowl weighs. And this bowl weighs 1,562 grams minus 964. I've already done the math, and that's 526 grams. That's too many because 4 times 120 is how many, Renee?
480 grams.
That's right. So let's turn this scale around so we can see it. And we'll put our little bowl on there. We'll turn it off. And then we'll put our bowl on there. And this will automatically tear the scale. So with the bowl on, it will read 0. And what we want to do is, the difference is 46 grams.
So we have to put 46 grams into this bowl.
So do it fast, and then what we'll do is just show you how much flour that is, how much excess flour that is. There's 10 grams.
But 19.
Oh, or if you have good eyes, it's 19. Now we're all the way up fast. We're not
48.
We're not doing
Perfect.
frames. Wow. Was it 48? Is that what we need?
Yeah.
Okay. So 48. She's perfect. So this is how much extra flour we would have had in the recipe. Now, why is it important to measure your flour? Because
the flour to water ratio matters.
That's right. Too much water, and what happens to your loaf? It gets
really big, and then it goes
poof.
Cave.
Yeah, because you create steam that does not support, that has no gluten to support it. So the steam just blows the top up and then it collapses once it bakes. So if you see that, if you see a collapsed top, there can be 2 reasons. One, too much water, which is the number 1 reason, unless you're weighing your flour. And then all of a sudden you make good loaves, and then you see your top collapse maybe just a little bit. It's because probably your yeast is getting old. And yeast will die over time, even kept in the refrigerator. And so if you're putting your 2 teaspoons of yeast in the recipe and you're getting one side or the other that's not quite even,
flat,
yeah,
or
it's
even,
not domed up, then you'll know that you might have to put a little bit more yeast, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon in, to make up for the dead yeastes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So there we have it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a loaf of bread for you, and we'll show you how to put in the ingredients in the proper order, and we'll show you the results. So here we are with our Taylor scale. And most scales, everyone I know, every food scale I know has a tare button. So the way this one works is you can turn it on, put the bowl on and hit the tare button and you get 0. Or you can just put the bowl on, turn it on, and
then it tears.
And it tears to
0.
0 if Renee would quit moving it. So now, this is wheat bread. So we're going to go 2.5 cups of bread flour. So that is 2 cups would be 240, and half of 120 is 60. So we need 300 grams of bread flour, which equals 2.5 cups. So all we do is we take I keep a 1 cup measurer in here, and we start adding, and I'm going to turn this around so we can actually read it.
So right now it's at 134.
Okay, so 2.5 cups is going to be,
That's 275.
so we need 300, right?
Yep, so about 25 more grams. That's 313, too much. That's 299.
Let's be exact.
301.
Wow. Ordinarily,
Nope, that's 299.
there we go.
300.
300, that's a lot of
Perfect
work. Usually if
amount.
it's 301 or 299, I let it go. But we're making a film here. So we set aside the bread flour because we're done with that. And now, if my lovely assistant will just leave things there, we now have to add 1.5 cups of wheat flour. So 120 grams plus a half of 120
60.
is 180. So
So
my
we want
lovely assistant is going to add wheat flour until we reach
480.
480. And we're at 407. Don't add all that. Keep going. 440.
39, but yes.
Wow. Your eyes are younger. 448. Keep going. Keep going. We haven't got all day. We haven't got all day. 481. Good enough. We're going to go with 481. There we go. 480.
No,
Beautiful.
it's still at 481.
Wow. Now she's arguing. Now, that's perfect. Now, wow. This is not helpful. 479 is close enough. Renee,
It's not.
Rose, Dooley.
Let's get it exactly on the dot of 480. Will be 1 gram too less.
And it will be next year before you
There
get it.
we go.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm so happy that you're happy. She got it to 480 exactly. Wow. So we'll set that aside.
Because I'm extra.
And that was exhausting for me. Could you put the scale to the side, please? So we talked about the order being important. So in goes our warm, tap warm water. Will you get the measuring spoons, please? In goes the butter. And in goes a teaspoon and a half of salt.
Salt.
Now, I use kosher salt. You can use regular table salt if you like. Now,
And
the other thing to know is this recipe will be, where do they put them, Renee? Where do we put them?
link in the description.
There you go. So the recipe will be there.
He's new to this.
Wow. And you're not. Okay, so then
I
what we
watch more
do,
YouTube than you.
what we do is we're going to add the flour right on top of this. The flour mixture.
Nice.
Spread it around a little bit, make sure there's no water showing. Then
There's
if you would grab
There is some water.
the white vital wheat gluten,
That's
that.
brown.
It's the brown stuff.
You said it was white.
And then the dry milk. And then the sugar.
Sugar.
All the way. And then I keep my, like most bakers, I keep my yeast in the refrigerator. Now this yeast I buy from King Arthur flour, and I get, it's really a bargain. It's like 16 ounces for $9.95 or something. But it's getting a little old. This is the last of it. I've got some more on order. And it calls for 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to put a teaspoon in and another one. And because
it's getting old, we're going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon.
Yeah, about that much. And that's it. Now, let's talk a little bit about yeast. There are 2 types. There's quick yeast, which is also bread machine yeast, and then there's regular yeast. So on this machine, this Zojirushi machine, there's basic and there's quick. If you're using fast yeast, use the quick setting.
If you're using normal yeast, use the basic setting.
Right, and the basic setting will give you 2 rises, and I think it gives a more complex, better tasting bread. So I'm going to I'm going to plug it in, and then what we're going to do is snap this in here. Now you have to make sure that everything is lined up properly.
Because if you don't,
So all we don't have to put, there's a crust setting on this. We don't have to make it darker or anything like that. All we do is we hit the go button, and the machine is going to make bread. And you're done. You can put everything away, and in 3.5 hours, we'll be back to show you the loaf that we made together.
bam!
Well, welcome back. This is Bruce, and not Renee and Bruce, because she's in gymnastics. So in about a minute, my wonderful Zojirushi bread machine will be beeping, and I will be pulling out the loaf and showing you how we did. It's been 3.5 hours minus 2 minutes, and I can tell, because you can lift the lid and see, that this loaf is going to turn out a little bit more rounded in the top than this one we showed you earlier. You see how that is indented a little bit? And if you recall, I discussed how my yeast is a little bit old, and those little guys, they don't all live, unfortunately. So I added about 1/4 teaspoon more to that recipe, and I think you'll see that this loaf is a little more rounded, because I'm always sure of my water and flour ratio, because I weigh my flour. So nothing's going to change there. So if there's some aberrations in the way the loaves come out, it's usually the yeast. So I'm expecting the triple beep very soon. And there it is. So we turn it off. We're going to lift the lid. Out comes the pan. And this really requires some shaking. Now, if you keep following us, we'll show you how to make sourdough bread. And that's the hardest to get out of the pan. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I have a little more room. But those little paddles have to be disengaged from the bread. And it's an engineering discussion how big to make the paddles. So there you go. That wasn't too bad. You can see where the paddles pulled out of the bread. And there's our bread. Now, not perfect. It's a little lopsided, but that's kind of part of the game. But it's, I would say, a much better looking bread than the one to my right, because I added a little more yeast. Both will taste exactly the same, but it's an aesthetic thing. So I'm sorry Renee couldn't be here. I know she would love to have you like and subscribe to our future videos. This is our first one. And we're anxious to make more. We want to show you how to make egg bread, which is her personal favorite. So I'm going to let her do all of that. And then I'm going to show you how to nurture sourdough starter and make sourdough bread. And we even may do a quartz watch battery replacement video, because I fix watches and Renee wanted to learn, so she can replace batteries in most quartz watches at 10 years old. She's a marvel. So the recipe will be under descriptions, under the more. You hit more out under descriptions and you'll see this recipe for basic wheat bread, small loaf. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great week.